based upon the future possibilities of such a partnership. When man realizes that the Universal Father is his partner in eternal progression, when he fuses with the indwelling Father Presence, he has in spirit broken the fetters of time and has already entered upon the progressions of eternity in the quest for the Universal Father. Mortal consciousness proceeds from the fact to the meaning and then to the value. Creator consciousness proceeds from the thought value through the word meaning to the fact of action. Always must God act to break the deadlock of the unqualified unity inherent in existential infinity. Always must Deity provide the pattern universe, the perfect personalities, the original truth, beauty, and goodness for which all sub-deity creations strive. Always must God first find man, that man may later find God. Always must there be a universal Father before there can ever be universal sonship and consequent universal brotherhood. 6. Omnipotence and omnificence. God is truly omnipotent, but he is not omnificent. He does not personally do all that is done. Omnipotence embraces the power potential of the Almighty Supreme and the Supreme Being, but the volitional acts of God the Supreme are not the personal doings of God the Infinite. To advocate the omnificence of primal deity would be equal to disenfranchising well-nigh 1,000,000 creator sons of paradise, not to mention the innumerable hosts of various other orders of concurring creative assistants. There is but one uncaused cause in the whole universe. All other causes are derivatives of this one first great source and center. And none of this philosophy does any violence to the free willness of the myriads of the children of deity scattered through a vast universe. Within a local frame, volition may appear to function at relationship with the unique, original, and absolute first causes. All volition is relative. In the originating sense, only the Father I Am possesses finality of volition. In the absolute sense, only the Father, the Son, and the Spirit exhibit the prerogatives of volition unconditioned by time and unlimited by space. Mortal man is endowed with free will, the power of choice, and though such choosing is not absolute, nevertheless, it is relatively final on the finite level and concerning the destiny of the choosing personality. Volition on any level short of the absolute encounters limitations which are constitutive in the very personality exercising the power of choice. Man cannot choose beyond the range of that which is choosable. He cannot, for instance, choose to be other than a human being, except that he can elect to become more than a man. He can choose to embark upon the voyage of universe ascension, but this is because the human choice and the divine will happen to be coincident upon this point, and what a son desires and the Father wills will certainly come to pass. In the mortal life, paths of differential conduct are continually opening and closing, and during the times when choice is possible, the human personality is constantly deciding between these many courses of action. Temporal volition is linked to time, and it must await the passing of time to find opportunity for expression. Spiritual volition has begun to taste liberation from the fetters of time, having achieved partial escape from time's sequence, and that is because spiritual volition is self-identifying with the will of God. Volition, the act of choosing, must function within the universe frame which has actualized in response to higher and prior choosing. The entire range of human will is strictly finite-limited except in one particular. When man chooses to find God and to be like him, such a choice is superfinite. Only eternity can disclose whether this choice is also superabsonite. To recognize deity omnipotence is to enjoy security in your experience of cosmic citizenship, to possess assurance of safety in the long journey to paradise. But to accept the fallacy of omnificence is to embrace the colossal error of pantheism. 7. Omniscience and predestination. The function of creator will and creature will in the grand universe operates within the limits and in accordance with the possibilities established by the master architects. This foreordination of these maximum limits does not, however, in the least abridge the sovereignty of creature will within these boundaries. Neither does ultimate foreknowledge, full allowance for all finite choice, constitute an abrogation of finite volition. A mature and far-seeing human being might be able to forecast the decision of some younger associate most accurately, but this foreknowledge takes nothing away from the freedom and genuineness of the decision itself. The gods have wisely limited the range of the action of immature will, but it is true will, nonetheless, within these defined limits. Even the supreme correlation of all past, present, and future choice does not invalidate the authenticity of such choosings. It rather indicates the foreordained trend of the cosmos and suggests foreknowledge of those volitional beings who may or may not elect to become contributory parts of the experiential actualization of all reality. Error in finite choosing is time-bound and time-limited. It can exist only in time and within the evolving presence of the Supreme Being. Such mistaken choosing is time-possible and indicates, besides the incompleteness of the Supreme, that certain range of choice with which immature creatures must be endowed in order to enjoy universe progression by making free will contact with reality. Sin in time-conditioned space clearly proves the temporal liberty, even license, of the finite will. Sin depicts immaturity dazzled by the freedom of the relatively sovereign will of personality, while failing to perceive the supreme obligations and duties of cosmic citizenship. Iniquity in the finite domains reveals the transient reality of all God-unidentified selfhood. Only as a creature becomes God-identified does he become truly real in the universes. Finite personality is not self-created, but in the super-universe arena of choice it does self-determine destiny. The bestowal of life renders material energy systems capable of self-perpetuation, self-propagation, and self-adaptation. The bestowal of personality imparts to living organisms the further prerogatives of self-determination, self-evolution, and self-identification with the fusion spirit of deity. Subpersonal living things indicate mind-activating energy matter, first as physical controllers, and then as adjutant mind spirits. Personality endowment comes from the Father and imparts unique prerogatives of choice to the living system. But if personality has the prerogative of exercising volitional choice of reality identification, and if this is a true and free choice, then must evolving personality also have the possible choice of becoming self-confusing, self-disrupting, and self-destroying. The possibility of cosmic self-destruction cannot be avoided if the evolving personality is to be truly free in the exercise of finite will. Therefore is there increased safety in narrowing the limits of personality choice throughout the lower levels of existence. Choice becomes increasingly liberated as the universes are ascended. Choice eventually approximates divine freedom when the ascending personality achieves divinity of status, supremacy of consecration to the purposes of the universe, completion of cosmic wisdom attainment, and finality of creature identification with the will and the way of God. 8. Control and over-control. In the time-space creations, free will is hedged about with restraints, with limitations. Material life evolution is first mechanical, then mind-activated, and, after the bestowal of personality, it may become spirit-directed. Organic evolution on the inhabited worlds is physically limited by the potentials of the original physical life implantations of the life carriers. Mortal man is a machine, a living mechanism. His roots are truly in the physical world of energy. Many human reactions are mechanical in nature. Much of life is machine-like. But man, a mechanism, is much more than a machine. He is mind-endowed and spirit-indwelt. and though he can never throughout his material life escape the chemical and electrical mechanics of his existence, he can increasingly